Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So today I want to go through the difference between supporting innovation in South Australia, in short it's SISA, and Global Talent Independent 1 and 188E, one business visa with the entrepreneur stream. Okay, first of all, supporting innovation in South Australia. This one was actually it was introduced, I believe, in 2018, and introduced 2018 November, and the deadline to submit SISA is November 2021. Okay, so as I mentioned last time, that your friend was coming on last year. This year. Sorry, I was issued visa was last year, granted his visa. So he's currently on SISA. SISA is a temporary visa. Now, temporary visa allows them to actually have a business idea. It's a newly arranged type of visa designed for entrepreneurs to take their innovative ideas and launch the seed stage, very early stage startups, right? So this only introduced in 2018 and only applicable in South Australia. Now, currently South Australia, only a few universities participate in this SISA stream. So one of the university in South Australia University and Flinders University and other universities. So if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. But currently we have to make sure that the deadline to launch SISA is November 2021. Okay, so what is this visa? Okay, basically this visa is saying if someone has a business idea, and this business idea, it cannot be in a traditional way of business. It can be retail, it can be coffee shop, it can be importing, exporting. It has to be something that really interesting, really something we call a startup. Okay, so what is a startup? Very simple. Startup is it's a type of company or business able to grow exponentially within a few years time, and they're able to attract a lot of customers in a very short period of time. So this is called a startup. Many are currently startups are mainly in technology side, but it can be in any side as well, as long as the business model or the technology they have enable them to actually grow very fast. So this is really something called a startup. Startup can be in any industry. We just need to make sure of that. So in terms of participating and other way of SISA event. So SISA event itself, it's proposed by South Australia, meaning once their visa is approved, they have to enter South Australia and participate their own, so basically start their own business idea in one of the universities I mentioned. Now, so this SISA, what is the pathway permanent visa? Okay, so first option would be any other visas where you can consider of. For example, business visa, skill visa, employer sponsor visa, right? So any other visa you can actually apply. And the other option, which is it's really general one of you needing to the Global Talent Independent. It's a permanent visa. So SISA candidates, they can apply GTI immediately or anytime when they feel they are able to meet this requirement. And the reason why we say supporting innovation in South Australia, and you can see this is under the same stream. In the department website, we have Global Talent Independent Program, GTI, Global Talent Employer Sponsor, GTES, supporting innovation in South Australia. So they are pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Why do we have the same different steps? Okay, so supporting innovation in South Australia, it can be something really beginning, a really seed startup. It doesn't have to be very mature, but Global Talent Independent, in order to meet this one, okay, let's see the requirement. This is the requirement. It's a lot higher than SISA. Here, the program is decided to attract skilled migrants and the top future focused fields to Australia. And who they are? Okay, so they have to be within these sectors. Okay. Agriculture, technology, space, advanced manufacturing, fintech, energy and mining technology, medtech, cybersecurity, quantum information, advanced digital data science, and ICT. So someone has to be working in one of the 7 sectors I just mentioned, and they will have to meet the ability they have to admit ability to attract the high income threshold. So high income threshold currently, I think we have already updated. Okay, I think it's going to be 150 because the market changed, right? So high income threshold, they have to show they have ability to attract. By showing that, how do we meet this? Okay, so today I'm not going to go through details of how I'm going to meet this one, because of course we do know that. But they give you some kind of guidance here, which everybody can read. It's pure English. Here they provide some options, for example, current salary, future job offers, or your PhD, recent PhD. Okay. Now, of course, how you apply is quite vague and simple, straight and forward. People just say and ask a lot of questions about how am I going to apply, how am I going to apply. Now, okay, so I am not actually answering the question how I'm going to apply, because it's really straightforward, it's there, right? In order to meet this requirement, that's the legal requirement that which we do have access to full requirement. Now, so you can see supporting innovation in South Australia, Global Talent Independent, GTI, and Global Talent Employer Sponsor. So Global Talent Independent, Employer Sponsor, this type of visa is actually very funny because only 3 of them granted, and because it's really expensive. Because for Global Talent, for the employer sponsor, when they introduced that, it actually requires startup company to have endorsement from one of the sectors, and they have to pay one of these panel members, including the chief executive officer, startup OS, startup AUS, launch VICT, this, and they are busy, right? So it's very hard. Like you have to vouch them and get them sponsored, which is quite similar to employer sponsor visa, isn't it? So what is the difference? Why people need to apply? This is why that's why Global Talent employer sponsor GTES was not popular at all. And so based on the consideration of SISA, I think SISA being really good, working well, and that GTES was not successful, and the department finally introduced the Global Talent Independent one. Now, Global Talent Independent, it seems really simple, easy, and of course it's not that simple, isn't it? When you read this wording, Global Talent, it seems that it's really high requirement, but the definition of that, what we believe is meeting requirement, is not based on the interpretation of everyday language. It has to be legal interpretation. Right. Okay, so I just introduced these 3. Now, as I mentioned, one of the friend, he was come on SISA, and he can actually apply later once he meets this requirement. I know, and he understand he's in one of the sectors. Okay, one of the sectors. The reason why SISA is a normal pathway to GTI is really because SISA has nominator, which is state. Okay, state government. State government is there nominated. It's really straightforward. When they apply GTI, if they're doing same work, doing something exciting, or make sure communicate with the department, communicate with the department, state government, then it's likely, they're gonna say, yeah, I'm happy you to build a company here. So SISA to GTI is a very straightforward process. Of course, you have to meet the other requirement, but at least for SISA candidate, if they want to apply GTI, they can be very certain about nomination part, right? Okay, so this is some kind of, let's say, innovation visas. Okay, innovation visas. And I mentioned what the other type of visa. It's under business stream. Okay, under business stream. Business stream. When we go through business stream, you can have a look at imi.homeaffairs.gov.au, and be able to search 188 visas. Now, 188 here, we have innovation, investor, significant investor, business innovation, extension stream, investor extension, premium investor, not popular, entrepreneur stream. Okay, so this is all 188A. Okay, these are all business type visas. So it's really different to what I just mentioned. SISA, GTI, they are not necessarily need to be a business background or anything like that. They can be based on skill alone. Okay, so business innovation, it's not relevant to our topic today because it requires someone who has to have a significant business background. They have to have currently owning a business, and they have to be having a new existing business in Australia. After they've got visa approved, they have to run a new or an existing business. So business innovation, it's about they are current businessmen, right? So investor visa, it can be, so investor visa, when I mentioned last time, it has two types of investor. One type of investors is they are actually business owners. They are business owners. The other type of candidate, they are actually professionals, which they are high income earners. So by somehow they purchase some kind of properties, a few or two, purchase some kind of shares, and they have investment activities, right? So they can apply too. So requirement, it is actually the same. The requirement is they have to invest 1.5 million. Okay, that is the investment into state bond. The state bond will stay there for 4 years. Okay, the visa itself will be 4 years and 3 months. So which means after 4 years, before that 3-month thing expire, you must lodge the permanent stage. Now, in order to meet investor visa stream, you have to have two requirement. Minimum requirement is, first of all, you have 2.25 million of asset. Okay, so when we say asset, it means everything that can calculate as a value. Okay, so but it doesn't include airplane, right? It doesn't include that. It includes property, shares, financial products, cash, gold, anything that has a value on it. Asset of 2.25 million, and you have, as an investor, you have to have held a value of 1.5 million of investment. Okay, investment in the last 4 years. Right, the criteria here can be very difficult to explain to you in very layman language, because sometimes people backgrounds different. They have different financial products. Sometimes these financial products are not able to calculate it really because of taxation issue. Right, as I mentioned, this 188B, what sometimes we refer in B, but department doesn't like that. Department wants us to say investor. Okay, so investor stream, it requires all your income has to be legally acquired, which means you have to have a trace towards why you have this asset. Okay, so this is legal requirement. You have to have this asset has to be legally acquired. So this asset can come from main applicant or their spouse, or both of them is fine too. Right, so this is an investor stream. It seems really simple. You know, can I just purchase 1.5 million state bond? Can I get PR? It doesn't work like that. I actually declined a lot of candidates. I just simply told them, no, you're not able to meet this requirement. Even they went to different agencies. They said to these candidates, say, yeah, absolutely, you're gonna get visa. No, it doesn't like that. It's not that straightforward. Okay, so this is business investor stream. And the other one, so significant investor, I think we're not going to mention here. It's 5 million. This is 15 extension. We don't want to mention extension. No. Premium, it's 15 million. I don't know who actually applied for this one. 15 million. Can you believe that? Okay, so entrepreneur stream we just mentioned last time. Sometimes we call it A188E because it has E in it. This type of visa is really similar to investor. It also allows you to stay 4 and 3 months. The visa for the permanent stage visa you need to apply for after 4 years. Okay, and the cost it's really similar. And what can you do? So we can have a look about details here. What is the actual requirement for entrepreneur stream? Right. Okay. So eligibility, let's check. Okay. Of course, normal stream is here. You have to be nominated under 55, and you have to have these okay, you have to have this requirement, okay, expression of interest, and you have to be nominated. So this is normal requirement, but the English requirement for entrepreneur stream is actually competent. For any other business visas, there's no mandatory requirement. That's really important. No mandatory requirement. But for entrepreneur visa, the mandatory it's actually higher. It's IELTS 7 on each band, and that they have two. This is two requirement. Now you can see that for our 188 entrepreneur one, we didn't mention anything about points, right? We didn't say anything about that. Okay, but if we go to the business innovation stream, and we go through this one, you can see that is the requirement. Where is the requirement here? I'm sorry. Score at 65 on the point text. You got it, right? So for all other business stream, the minimum requirement for all the points is 65 points. But for business entrepreneur stream, what we call 180E, they actually don't have that requirement. So there is no point text. Let me check again, just to make sure. I don't have a good memory, but I'm sure I've got this right. That's correct. So you receive invitation, of course, through UI, be nominated, under 55, have a compliant entrepreneur activity, receiving fund, have competent English, health, character, Australian value, no debt, no cancellation, right? That's no points, okay? You do not meet the point text. Okay, now the other stream, the requirement, right, straightforward invitation, nominated, because you gonna go through the skill select stream anyway, right? Now, competent English, there's nothing to argue about. That main requirement for 188 entrepreneur stream is really have a compliant entrepreneur activity, receive funding from approved entity. So let's go through this. Okay, what is entrepreneur activity? Of course, you know that entrepreneur activity is really related again to startup activity. Okay, so you're going to run some business, and that business is going to be very similar to the technology type of company. It's startup will have a growth in a very substantial growth in the next few years. Now, entrepreneur activity must be related to innovative idea that, this is really important, we need to read this, the commercialization of a product and service in Australia, or the development of the enterprise of business in Australia. Now, I would say development of enterprise or business, this is something called very large. It's considered, for example, if someone else is having a branch in Australia, I think that will be saying a commercial enterprise of business. And most of the time when we talk about this, we are focusing on first part, it's commercialization of a product or service in Australia. Now you can you recap what I just mentioned in the SISA supporting innovation in Australia, right? In supporting innovation in Australia, we mentioned about this. We mentioned about the innovative business and anything like this. Now, when you read this again, you can see that commercialization of a product and service in Australia, that it must not relate to any of the categories: labor hire, purchase of existing business, franchisee, residential. Right, very similar to our SISA, right? Very similar. It's actually the same thing, okay? So you had to have a complying activity. So you, it's whom. Let's go through this one. Who is you, okay? Are you saying you as a person has a company now? Or what is this interpretation? Now let's read this. The second one is receive funding from approved entity. Very interesting. Okay, we didn't mention that, did we? We say that you must have one or more legally enforceable agreement to receive funding with a total at least 200,000. Now this is really interesting. I think lots of people or other agents or immigration lawyers, they ask me about this. I just ask them, why don't you just read this? Simple English here. you must have one or more legally enforceable agreements to receive funding with a total of at least 200,000. It's not saying you must have that cash, right? You must have that cash, or the other way around. Someone have to give you cash. It is an agreement to receive funding, which sometimes we call it commitment, right? Commitment. So commitment is saying, I'm going to fund you, but it's not now. We're going to have that funding 20%. What time? Another 20%. What time? Now the funding must come in from whom? Okay, we say this: Commonwealth government agency, state or territory government agency, partly funded research and innovation organization, meaning universities, right? Higher education. Public funding research. Okay, and higher education, which means university, and investor registered as a Australian venture capital limited partnership or early stage venture capital limited partnership. Right. So for who is going to receive funding from approved entity? It's not you. It's your company, and you must have 30% interest in this entrepreneur entity. When we say entrepreneur entity, it means the company. You must have at least 30% interest of your company, and this company must have agreement with one of these entities, and that agreement, it must be enforceable, legally enforceable, right? Legally enforceable contract, right? Contract. So this fire company also, if you have that funding for let's say that you find a startup, say, hey, this startup I have 30% interest, and this startup company received funding from Australian government. Awesome. That's the best way of doing that. But sometimes it's really difficult to approach these people because their business is not funding companies. Their business is around our government, right? So what we're gonna see something, and I just mentioned this early stage venture capital limited partnership. So this kind of partnership are run by fund managers. They actually really interested in funding, helping that investor to fund to place the fundings with different activities. So they're interested in this, right? And then they say here you must have a business plan for, of course, all startup you must have a business plan, even it's short. But most time you want something that it's going to be comprehensive. Okay, so all the funding provided to be under agreement. Okay, so it's okay, right? That's all of the funding provided to be under the agreement. It's that's really interesting one. Legally required. Okay, and last time I did mention that, did I? Okay, for all other business visas, these legally require main applicant, the main and the dependent applicant. Their cash, their funding, their whatever properties has to be legally acquired. They have to say, I earn this because of that action, and I pay for tax for this one. These all monies are after tax. Now, when you read this one, you assume you also need legal requirement. No, it is under the law, under the policy that as whoever provide this funding to this legal. So, for example, if the early stage venture capital limited they provide a funding agreement to this startup, it is therefore assumed these funds are legally acquired. Why it is assumed? Because it's under different law. They have this is under different, because their entity, it is called early stage venture capital limited partnership. We're gonna find who are they, right? Who are they? What capacity do they have? What's the regulation for their activities, right? So we're gonna go through another website to explore that. Okay, so overall, I just want to go through this again. Overall, in order to meet entrepreneur visa stream, there's no point. Of course, you have under 65 English competent. You have to meet these two main requirements. Has a startup, and this startup you have 30% of the interest, and your startup receive an agreement from one of the entities, right? And there you go. Who are they? Okay, so early stage venture capital limited. Okay, early stage, they actually receive tax benefits. So which means if the investor receives some kind of income from this one, they can receive a tax release. Now, who they are? Okay, it's really early stage. They are actually managed by fund managers. Okay, and fund manager help investors to help with startups. That's it. And if registered, so early stage they can do this. Early venture capital investment in companies or unit trusts, right? Unit trust and following stage of development: pre-seed, very early, second early, third early, and nearly to the market. People, the fund manager, they are going to people to see, hey, who's out there in market, what can I do for them, and they seek this opportunity. Of course, startup has a risk, right? Of course. Now everybody can, not everybody can apply, I'm sorry, but they can apply and wait for regulation, and they are regulated as well. Now, okay, so who are they? And think I did mention early stage. We have a list of them. Yes, a few of them. So early stage, I'm sorry, but let me just have that. Awesome, we have this. Very good. List of early stage venture capital. Okay, everybody's here. You just go to business.gov.au and you can see this is latest updated 21st February 2020. And this when you see this name, that she's the fund manager. Okay, she's a fund manager. And the company, they have a fund company here. And you see what their interest, their target investment. For example, this partnership invest in high quality, innovative Australian company at the early expansion. Okay, they only interest that expansion stage. This company, this early venture, they only call, they only interest in medical tech and disruptive technology based on business model and expandable, right? It's focused on Asia. So let's say if you are a startup company, let's say we have two parties here. One, it's a startup company. It can be yourself, which is unlikely. It can be someone else's startup, right? Someone else's startup. Now we have another investor who is candidate, right? This is most of the time this, normal scenario. We have a startup company. You see, this is startup company. Then you go to the startup company, say, hey, you know what? I'm going to help you to do this, but I want to own 30% of share. Let's have a share agreement. Now this startup company then go to the early stage, say, hey, do you want to fund me? I need this 200,000 commitment. Now if they say yes, why they say yes? Because they see it's awesome thing. If they fund on you, they probably are gonna earn a lot of money. So they'll say yes. Now that of course there will be complex issues of a legal agreement and this and that. And that happens. So it is not hard to actually meet the 188A entrepreneur visa, because that's a requirement right to you. But in order to meet permanent visa stage, which we want to show you here, right? So I just mentioned that's not hard. That's not hard to meet 188E, as I just mentioned. Again, we want to say it's the startup receive funding from early stage, right? Not the other way around. It is a startup who receive the early stage funding. Now 188 business, let's say this. Okay, we're gonna go through, because ultimate goal is permanent visa, isn't it? We need to find out how we're going to meet this permanent stream. Entrepreneur stream in 88A. Okay, now let's go through this one. Eligibility. Nominated is fine. Have a successful record. So this, which means entrepreneur activity, means that startup. Okay, just straightforward. Startup and no. And how are we going to meet this requirement? Who's going to meet requirement? owning the company, the startup needs meet requirement, and of course you need to meet residential requirement, which means you have to be in Australia 2 out of 4 years, right? 2 out of 4 years. And let's say, okay, so the only one requirement is have a successful record of entrepreneurial activity. Let's read this. You need to show either 2 key success factors or 1 key success factors and 3 supporting success factor. And key success factors, we only need either 2, if we can get 2, or 1 key here and 3 here. Okay, I personally feel the second one, 1 key success factors plus 3 supporting success factors, it's easier to meet. Why? Let's read this. You employ 2 or more Australian permanent resident or other eligible peoples. So here eligible means New Zealand. Okay, eligible New Zealand citizen. Employ 2 or more Australian permanent resident. 2 or more. So people ask, is it full-time or part-time? It doesn't matter as long as you have 2 people. Generally an turnover of 300,000. I don't know how hard is that. It really depends on business, isn't it? It really depends on business. So, and one is filing a patent or acquiring a patent, receiving ongoing funding, entering partnership with the university, selling venture or 2 million. Oh well, I don't know how hard is this. I really don't. But it just, if you have 2 of them, PR, bam, no problem. Awesome. You have 2 people working and turnover 300 of patent, awesome. But I think it's really hard, isn't it? Really hard. So I would say the most things we want to meet is 1 key success factor and 3 supporting success factors. Let's say we probably going to say easier thing is employ 2 people, right? We employ 2 part-times here. And then we're going to find 3 supporting success factors. Because turnover, I don't know. So annual turnover, and this is at the time when you apply. The last financial year you apply. Okay, it's not every year. Supporting success factor including adapting your entrepreneurial activity into other business area. Vague, isn't it? Very vague. Well, of course you can adapt it in the business areas, right? Receiving statement of success. Okay, that if we have a candidate for SISA candidate, they are doing startups, you're gonna receive something from your government because the state government sponsor you, right? It's not going to be hard. Receiving sponsorship, I don't even know how to meet this one. Corporate sector, I think that is going to be a little bit hard for here. Starting at least 1 other business or contributing to another 2 business. 1 other business, just register another one. Receiving formal awards, a little bit hard. Raising and contribution to social capital, right? I feel this is something really, really easy to meet as long as you're genuinely running business. Oh my God, if you run 2 years, you're gonna have some kind of social capital. You're helping people, right? You're gonna be something there. So I believe that second one is actually easier to meet. That's it. The other requirement, just the normal one. They actually have functional English on the 2nd stage. Can you believe it? So functional English, it's IELTS 5. And then when you are 1st stage, they ask you for competent English. So I don't know why. They actually lower the requirement. And health, laws, character, value, same thing. No debt, no cancellation, no debt. That's it. You have not been involved in unaccepted business or illegal business. Of course you're not, right? Of course. Nobody gonna do that. Therefore, in order to meet 188A, there is one thing to meet this requirement, that this startup company is actually running, right? Genuine running. If you're genuine running, you're gonna need people. You're gonna have some kind of activities, right? You're gonna have some kind of fundings from someone else. You're gonna be actively seeking fundings. So as long as meet this work, when I read this, everything it's interpreted in law, but the way they are doing here, it's really marketing side of wording. But in terms of law, it's really similar as laid out here. Maybe they have different language, which I read them. I think they are more comprehensive. but the information provided here is correct. The reason why people think they are not like that, it's just they don't understand the wording here. Alright though, so I hope I answered all the questions. And just to summarize what I discussed, first of all, I want to talk about SISA supporting innovation in South Australia. I talk about these global talent, monthly innovation type of tiny talent skill visa. And I want to talk about an 1/8 entrepreneur and how you're going to meet a permanent stream. I also want to talk about the early stage venture capital limited and where you can find that. I hope this answers all your inquiries. If you have anything you want to ask, don't hesitate to contact me directly. Thank you. Bye bye.